Good afternoon or good morning, guys and gals. This is Eric Mashinsky from the Gold Investment Letter. It is the 9th here on Tuesday in December and the 25th year of 2000 AD. I want to give you guys a couple things today to consider. Excuse me. Hopefully, number one, I got some commentary back that I did notice. I don't always read commentary, but like on the video, and it was it was one email reply and one on the YouTube, excuse me, when I mentioned sort of like this tongue in cheek, you know, I made a mistake. On the other hand, most of you guys are rookies and everything else, and so I apologize for that. That was an inappropriate comment for me to make. It just was because the reality is when I look at Metallis, I just want to address this briefly. And then what I'd like to do is I want to try to make it up to you guys with some ideas you can check out that we only have in Elite and that have not run yet. And we've had a lot of these smaller plays run. That's why it gets a little bit tough for me sometimes when the only time I hear from people, especially like on the free list, is when something goes down. And we have a lot of shit that goes up. We just do. We have a lot of plays, many more winners than losers when you look over time. But the reason I think I reacted that way is because I did make a mistake, not in the sense I believe of the ultimate picture for Metallis. I think that we're onto something that could be very, very special there. I have this, I've showed you guys, I believe, I've got chunks of rock in my living room in Chicago, which has, 200, 300 ounce per ton silver just sprinkling like a Christmas tree all over there. And I was given that by the former, the owner, the Yankee family, because we didn't get up to actual Greyhound because of the weather. But that was pretty exciting. I got to learn a lot more about the project. Here's the thing that I've learned in this game that I breached my own lesson and learning lessons, and I'm guilty of that. Meaning, and here's the other part of it, real quick. If you go back to our venture cap list, not even 18 months ago, Metallis was added back to our buy list at 4.5 cents Canadian. And we had some people buy. This is starting to, this was in the dearth of the bear market. And so very difficult to get people to act and to take much action. But anyway, when a stock on our venture list goes from 4.5 cents to 55 cents, I'm just talking trough to peak or recommendation price to where it hit before it crashed the other day. Uh, Not bad, 12x in that sort of you know, sort of a very, very I'm sorry, I'm getting texts about people about this stock looks ready to rip. I hope your message about this was not negative because it's going to fly. And I don't know which one they're talking about. I'll figure it out after this. But in any event, when you have something even like around 5, 6, 7, 8 cents, and you get your triple at 20 to 24 to 30 cents, my motto is typically sell a third to get your capital risk out of the game, but then allow for the home run when they have home run appeal. And what ended up happening with Metallis is that it traded down higher highs, higher lows. We did two financings in the teens with warrants. It obviously was put into really good hands. There are a lot of you sketchy folk from Vancouver and Australia and even Toronto and pink sheet promoters. You get really worried about when lockups happen. I should be more aware of that. I've made this admission to some people recently, but I don't care that much because, like, especially if we've placed the people in the deals, I know their attitude. I know they're not in a rush to get out. But, sometimes to get the big winners, the 20, 50, 100x winners, you've got to wait. And I don't care how long it takes. If you make 15 times your money, if it took you 4 weeks or 4 years, when that's happening, you're pretty happy. Okay. As long as you're right. But in any event, Metallis traded, up to the right, consolidated on a bull flag, did the same thing, volume, petering out. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking to myself, the last time that I talked to Fiore, he's got to have drill results coming in December. I thought they would start in November. And I did obviously I didn't know what the drill results were. I did not know they were coming right away. This was me saying I remember from September when he thought the first ones were going to start dribbling out. And from the visual side of things, it sounded very exciting. That's another one of my rules of thumb is that you cannot rely. I mean, it's nice to see when you've got visible gold and things like that, but you have to have the assay results. So I jumped the gun on that because I also was looking at the combination of the technical setup, which I thought was about to break out. And interestingly, it actually did really quickly after I pinged some of my friends. I was like, if you don't own any of this one, you need to own some. So from like 40 to 50 cents, including myself, I bought another 150,000 shares at 45, 46 cents. So it's not like, I guess, you know, one of the things that I pride myself on, and you guys can believe it, not believe it, whatever. I don't sell on you. I don't recommend shit in my newsletter and sell uh, to you guys getting excited about something to get out of my position. I'm not a scumbag. That's one thing I know for sure, but I can be wrong. And so when we had that real big leap and closed at 55 cents, I was like, wow. And that happened all in that sort of last day before they came out with the results. That happened on Monday, Tuesday. And, all of a sudden this stuff comes out. And I get texts when I wake up. I slept in like an hour late. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And so a few things. Number one, I jumped the gun on, and this is all pertaining to the short term. My long term assessment, and we're going to be looking at more information with the whole geological team and everybody else and some of my outside sources to see what this all means for the future, where they should. Um, and they were bouncing around a bit, which I think has been a consensus of like, look, you guys should have stuck in, two or three areas and got more information for your next vectoring. But very rarely, and this is why I'm an idiot in this case, uh, do first inaugural maiden drill programs like rip the cover off the ball first like 8, 10, 12 holes. It takes time. And this is a monstrous property with ultra high grade silver, gold, antimony, zinc. And it just is not easy to nail that stuff with limited information until you get drilling and you get the ball rolling and then you get the vectoring from the geos that say, okay, we get, this way, this way, this way, that way. It looks like really good over here. So somebody made a comment to me like, hey, the street is saying that these were dusters. And I was like, huh? I actually read it and I was like, what? Because I had gone through right before that. These were not duster holes. I mean, they had 3,000 gram silver. They were just thin, but you've got thin shear zones in mines that have been operating for 60 to 80 years in Idaho because they're high grade and they're actually, not incredibly expensive to drill. But we've got an incredible story for exploration upside. I also got a little bit ahead of the curve where to get people to buy stock cheaper, I believed what I said, but I was like, look, this could be one of the biggest exploration discoveries of the next year, 25, 26. And sometimes I've done that, where like, I mean, that was when we were trading, not the other day. I might have reiterated it, but I've said, since this thing was 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, that's what I believe Metallis could end up being. So, number one, I apologize for calling some of you rookies and stuff because you're doing the best you can, just like I am. Not everybody, knows this game inside out. I appreciate it when you guys are, taking what I say and what I do with my research and actually put some of your hard-earned money into these ideas. So I hate what happened yesterday. I don't like to see that. Um, and also partially because it looked like with the volume and everything else that we might be stuck in the mud a little bit, for the next few weeks or month. We'll have some bounces, but the next drill program I think is going to be much more robust. Much more much more fruitful because of the information they did gather from this one. So I want to address that. And I don't blame some of you guys if you're like, screw this asshole. He's talking shit and he's the one who, just told me to buy some at 43 cents and now it's at 20. I make mistakes, guys. I do. I'm human. And On the other hand, I'm good at what I do. And I feel like with those of you, my biggest mantra is always like those that stick with me through thick and thin, you're going to have different intervals of time where you could just cash out on GIL and Mashinsky and take a nice profit, and we will be better off for having known each other. Um, and so I'm committed to that, going forward. Uh, so anyway, I apologize. I made a mistake. I got over enthused before we got the assays, and that is a rookie mistake. Now, what I wanted to just throw in here today is I want to give you guys a couple of picks that are on our elite venture cap list. Like I mentioned with Metallis, that entered our list at 4.5 cents Canadian in 2024. And, a lot of people have made a fortune, got their money out, don't really give a shit what the stock does, like most people do when they bought it higher and are wondering, is this thing ever going to recover? Um, and our idea with the venture capitalist is to get things really cheap and they're completely undiscovered, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to give you one silver recommendation that is not that small because it is just undervalued, very undervalued. I've mentioned it, I believe, here one time, and that is Alaska Silver. Keep in mind, I have no paid relationships with any of these groups. So uh, the only one that I've got an active consulting agreement with is THM/ITH. And I'm very proud of that. And, so far that stock has gone from 45, 50 cents USD in 1 year, hit a high of 313. We're still trading, just under $2. And I'm convinced it's going to 10. And I think we're all going to do wonderfully well there. It's supported by the smartest institutional investors that we've got on the street. But the rest of this stuff, um, I don't do much like on the marketing side anymore. I focus on investing my own money and bringing opportunities to you guys, my investor base. From time to time, like if I'm going to go deep into a deal anyway, and somebody's dangling hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the word out. Even then, though, I try to do what I do in that respect with the utmost integrity and patience and knowledge about what is this thing worth and where do I have my people, even free e-letter members, buy up to. The benefit you get being elite and or premium is that you end up getting um, these ideas a bit early, like with THM, we were able to buy that for months under 55 cents US. And then I trickled it out to the rest of the folks. And you guys all should have had an opportunity to buy that very, very cheaply before it ran over $3. But those are small, small deals. I will tell you that one that's really got my attention that I've been buying a lot of nice and steadily is symbol WAM. It's Alaska silver. It used to be called the Western Alaska silver, which is why it has the W in the symbol. But this one, WAMFF, at 75 cents US, and it is at 102 Canadian. I came out in October when this thing got pummeled because their investment bank, Cantor Fitzgerald, that's what these guys do. They smash the shit out of these bought deals and stuff to get their clients in cheap, and they keep it down until they place it all. When it's closed, then you get all that selling pressure off. And that's when I like to enter some of those deals. And I realized with this one, you've got 75 million ounces of silver equivalent at an average grade of over 800 grams silver. Not only that, one thing we're going to start to hear more about, I believe, um, in general, but with Alaska Metals, they have a lot of gallium. Gallium is one of the first critical minerals that China snuffed us from. That included antimony, germanium. They essentially said, "Look, you guys can't build. You want to worry about attacking us? We're just going to make sure you don't. You have no ability to actually make enough weapons to beat us. Secondly, we're also going to be dealing with. You don't want us to get fast chips from Nvidia. Okay, well, you're not going to be able to build them either. It's all very actually like it's politically motivated, but I don't even blame China. In fact, China's been the smart one. We've been the fucking idiots who have watched them do what they've done for the last 25, 30 years. Many of us have watched this coming. But I think that the critical minerals and the rare earth elements, even though we've had some big winners already, we're about to see another leg that could go way higher. The junior miners in commodities, base metals, precious metals, critical metals are going to have a very, very big 2026. And I'll get into that more in another video, but the summation is this was the first year that a lot of these small juniors were able to raise more money than just to be able to keep the lights on. And now they're going to be out there working, and you're going to see a lot of whether it's drill results or trenching or geophysics. There's going to be a lot of attention to the juniors. Plus, they're just so flipping undervalued, and you're going to start to see some of these get bought out. So, hey, listen, the elite membership. I had a call yesterday. Very nice gentleman who hit us up. He had started with premium. I'm sorry, my dog, Kara, she sheds like an absolute. It's amazing. Anyway, he's been monitoring things, and he said, what's the deal with the elite? We had a great 45-minute phone call. I explained to him the biggest benefit being the deal flow, getting the warrants and getting some of the private financings, but that you get everything as early as possible when I'm taking a position, and then the premium members always have a great area as well. And the free e-letters, if something goes up too much, like where I just personally am not comfortable buying anymore because, say, the premium and the elites drive it up 50% in a week. And I'm just like, whoa, I am not going to pawn that on any of you ever. It's just not what I do. So we always have these buy up to prices and everything else. But we walk through the elite membership. I had raised this from a maximum of 25 fund managers, family offices, brokers, high net worth individuals. I raised it to 40 in anticipation of what's happening now and is going to happen in 2026 because we're going to have more deal flow, bigger deal flow, and a lot of interest. Otherwise, you go on a waiting list, which we've had one of these before a few years ago when we were crushing it. And essentially, that's what's coming next, I believe. So if you want to see the new list coming out on just the venture cap stuff, you could be a relatively small investor, and that could change your life. Worst case, I don't think people are going to lose money on my venture capital list as long as you can give something a couple of years on a timeline and not put a lot of pressure on yourself for something to pop right away. Because over the years, knock on wood, I've been lucky enough, even with, and I mentioned we should expect some duds. I always have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 baggers. And you only need one or two of those. If you come into Elite, you buy seven or eight or nine or 10 of these plays, same amount of money. And then if they go lower, because we have a big correction in the market or whatever, you just scrape up a little bit more money to buy more. This is a very profitable, unique part of the service. Um, Premium members get this service as well. So you don't have to join the Elite, but the Elite has 37 members out of a maximum of 40, which I will not budge. And the individual we got off the phone with yesterday, I believe he just signed up or he's planning to sign up today. So that leaves two spots. Big amount of the money that's made from doing financing. So you have to be accredited, which means 200 grand in income, a million net worth, whatever. Um, you start socking up these warrants, folks, and all of a sudden, you can have warrant portfolios that you got for free on top of buying a position in a deal at a discount to market that we like. Take your risk out eventually in the stock, use some of that to exercise the warrant, and you can have hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of extra shares by accumulating these warrants. It's a big benefit for those of us that Cara, don't bite that. Sorry, guys. Uh, that is really, something that I'm planting seeds and doing deals and warrants like a lot. I do this very often. I do not tell everybody about everything that I do. I try to, zero it in on the best of the best. But anyway, so I'm going to put a subscribe letter in here. I'm also, for those of you that haven't seen it, the CEO consortium that we did with the Special Operations Association of America, Rob McEwen, John Cherry from Perpetua, Carl Hanneman from THM, Paul Colley from Phenom Resources, and Steve Dunn at US Copper, and Mike Blady on the uranium side of things. I'm already packing up another 6 individuals for part 2. We're going to do them once a quarter. And these are going to get in front of Congress members, uh, all of the regulatory field heads, and anybody else who cares about these issues, because these are the folks that run into the exact challenges that they've been running into for years, and they share how the U.S. government and judicial system and regulators could end up helping them without destroying the environment and everything else. And the first call was very successful. Um, but you got to get this information earlier on, I think, to really get a handle around what's happening out there in the environment, what's going on behind the scenes. We were privy to some information that was very encouraging with regard to the Forest Service, which I had been pretty upset about because we're log jammed at Dobbin and King Solomon in Nevada for our drill programs there. But I think that's going to get rectified. We're going to be able to drill that bad boy come, spring, summer. Same thing with King Solomon. I'll just say this for those of you that are disappointed in Phenom. I don't lose even a wink of sleep over it. Um, I've got the most money in the stock out of anybody that's a shareholder. I'm down considerably on paper, but we've been talking about some plans and strategies that are really going to knock this thing to a new level. We also still have the vanadium and nickel processing technology, which is being vetted by some very large companies again. Dobbin is going to be this is my opinion. So I'm not a geologist, but I read tea leaves and I read people. That's what I do. Um, and I'll stick with the fact that I don't believe unless I hear some new information from the Geo team and the pros at Metallis with Greyhound. I am not I am not deterred one bit. I think that could be one of the most exciting new high grade silver deposits and discoveries in North America this year, coupled with high grade antimony, which will get it funded quickly and permitted quickly, and gold and zinc. And we have a lot of people watching that situation. So, very keen to get back out there. Phenom has any success on these last couple holes at Crescent Valley, we're going right back out there. I talked to the guys 2 days ago, and I don't bankroll my future on two holes on such a massive property. But they had said that on, I think it was 70% of the assays, they needed to run it through a second and or third time, which generally is very good news because they're double checking that they're not going to put out some false high number. I don't know what's going to happen. Let me not make the same mistake. Let's get the assays out and see what's what. But I have continued to buy Phenom. I will end up going to 9.9%. We have some things we're working on to bring in some hitters to help drive the company and do some deals, JVs, and fund some of these incredible projects that we've sourced from Dave Matheson. We've talked to Dave about sourcing more, but we got to get our ducks in order. His only concern is like the resources. Do we have the resources to get this stuff rocking? My job will be to make sure that that is the case. And even if I have to do what I have not done before, which I avoid because of Piker shareholders that like to blame everybody for everything. The litigious folks that are out there can sue entire board members, but I've told Paul and the team, let's get something together. You guys do what you're going to do, present it to me as a proxy for the shareholders. But if I need to step in as executive chairman on Phenom Resources, I'll do it. And then the stock will go to $2 to $5 because it will give me a lot of sway and I will roll my sleeves up and make that deal happen. So, lastly, so we've got WAMFF, that is Alaska Silver. Um, we've had Honey Badger that tripled for us really quickly, has been coming back off again. Keep an eye on that one. Um, and what else am I going to give you guys that's something that could be valuable? And the wham, I'll call it, has some gallium in there that could blow shit open on its own. But they've got a lot of cash. The reason that stock pulled back was because it was a cashed up financing, and now they've got big New York investment banks behind it. So, and real people. So I have purchased like 300 some thousand shares, and the chart looks fantastic. And I think that stock is going to make its way back towards where it was before. Let's just see how long ago that was. The stock was a buck 50, last year. It's at 102. But this thing has been $4 in 23. And so I think this is a triple to 5x to, and it was actually over $6 in 22. Um, this is a good, this is a great silver investment speculation because it's not small. They have, what is it? 75 million ounces of silver equivalent. That is over 75,000 ounces of silver, which is over 850 grams per ton equivalent silver. Uh, Cashed up, huge targets, and they're going to keep moving this thing forward. And I am liking Alaska more and more. I'm obviously betting big on International Tower Hill. Idaho is becoming a favorite. We're going to get inside baseball from a lot of these guys. Some of this stuff I don't even post to free e-letter members though. So, if you want to take, some of you I know costs of living have been driven up quite a bit. But if you're going to take a shot to get ahead of cost of living, uh, I would encourage you right now to give me a year and see what we can do because um, I don't know. I don't care that much, guys. Like I'm not always. You don't see my autoresponder uh, Black Friday deal, then Easter, then this, then this, then this, and this, and this, and this, just to get you to sign up to the premium subscriptions. I usually do it in a verbal conversational way when I think, look, there's some real benefit for you guys to do so. I have about 20 companies that are going to be mentioned, with 10 of them featured, and why on the new venture cap list. This venture cap list that we have at GIL for just the elite members. I'm sorry, the elite and the premium members. You could just get premium if you don't really worry about private placements as much. We just had two private placements and we only got about a $500,000 each. So there are a lot of people on premium that like to do private placements. And unfortunately, I just had to say, sorry, guys, it's all gone. And I had to cap all the elites. We've got a pretty formidable group, and hopefully we're going to start taking down some very hot deals where I can commit to 2 3 million, and maybe they cut us back down to 1.5 to 2, but I can chop that up, and I am willing to do the extra work on the placements to get people taken care of, even if they're on small allocations. And those that have been with me forever, I had 3 people I hadn't heard from this deal that we're doing right now. Um, and they are my OGs. These are guys that, in my 20s, they were brokerage clients of mine. And we're all friends. And I hadn't seen anything. So I called them and I audio memoed them and texted them. And I said, none of this one for you. I didn't hear from you. I'm surprised. And one of the guys was like, I don't know how I missed this, but thanks for following up. So he's in. The other two, it was a matter of like, looking at other deals and capital and how much. I said, look, do what you like. One of them in particular is pretty sophisticated. He can vet his own deals. So I'm like, do what you like. But uh, if I were you, I'd do something um, in this deal because it's just too flipping attractive. Last thing today, guys, go to town if any of these resonate with you. I'm gonna put the subscribe link there. If you subscribe to Elite or Premium, what I will guarantee you is that if it's Elite and you're signing up for the annual, um, I will get you a good position in at least the next placement. We've got 3 or 4 in queue, I think, for December. Call it 3. They're always oversubscribed when there's smaller deals, but um, even if you're going into premium, and you're planning on potentially sticking around for a while, I will at least sliver you off a piece so that you can make all of your money back and then some on just the one placement. But build your portfolio around the model portfolio. And not only that, swing trades, um, crosses in the market. And frankly, once in a while, you're going to hear me talking about this in elite and premium. For example, I did this recently, and we've got some uranium stuff that's going to pop. So don't forget about that. And they're down now, they're correcting. So you want to join now to get those names and start, I think chopping those up and accumulating them. But with crypto, for those of you that haven't been around super long, we came out with the crypto recommendation under $500 in 2016. And it's changed my life because I've immersed myself in the blockchain technologies. I used to be a technology venture capitalist. I still am an angel investor. And the elite membership is like, okay, you're going to get whatever I'm doing and whatever I get. And it's not like an inundation of ideas, it's very curated. Um, but for example, if there's like opportunities to start to sock away, besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, some things that I really like. You'll hear about those too. And you also, if you join you get premium and elite memberships to every newsletter I have, which is Phenom Crypto letter, free one, premium one, Elite Investments, GIL Elite, GIL Premium, a black gold letter, and you'll get my cell phone. So just don't bug the shit out of me. But you have one-on-one access, and if you have some things come up from time to time, I'm happy to help. And then also, once a quarter or something like that, we can jump on a 45-minute call, go over your portfolio, and just talk about what's your best plan. If there are things that stick out to me, I'll talk about them. But if they're names that you pick because you're a good investor already and I don't know much about them, I'm not going to butt into your business, but I will share more about what I have and what's ideal. And look, the most important thing I can tell you guys right now, regardless of if you stay in the free e-letter, which is what they used to call penny wise and dollar foolish, um, because you'll make that money back in one pick. But uh, if you're kind of serious and know that we've just went through this 4 year brutal bear market, and there's an opportunity that's really coming up here for a lot of this stuff that is yet to really make the moves. The being in a bull environment right now, making investments before this stuff we have, before we, chasing plays is not what I do. I'm going to tell you the buy up to prices. I'm going to tell you if you miss those, either you miss the deal, forget about it, or wait, put it on your list to see if it pulls back to your buy up to price. It's a huge key to making big returns. And I think a lot of the junior miners are going to become similar in returns to what happened in 2021 for those of us that were immersed in the alternative crypto tokens. And some of you have heard this, some of you have not. But I mean, I had 8 tokens that went up between 125 and 650 times my money. And you don't need a lot of money in stuff that goes up 600x. And then I had 3 of them that were up between 3 and 500x. So, and that doesn't even include the stuff that was up, triples, quadruples, and 40x. So if we even sniff that in the junior minors, which I'm starting to get the picture of because I have friends on both sides of the aisle, with I've got them all over the aisle, traditional finance and um, you know, uh, AI and this and that, and then you've got um, you know, sort of the TradFi people that if they're going to even play crypto, they're doing the ETFs, things like that. And then I've got the AI or the crypto people, blockchain people that don't even want to put their stuff into TradFi vehicles because there's risk there, not your keys, not your coins. But I'm hearing exactly what I want to hear and seeing what I want to see, which is this last pullback is a good thing for crypto. And now is the time to be paying attention to it. And, while your miners are going up, it's really a good time to take a look at it because slowly but surely I'll be taking profits from some of those big winners and chipping away at buying more of the mining stocks and the metals themselves. And you'll see on some of our things too, guys. I recommended this, I think, here at the e-letter because it was liquid enough. Things like the palladium ETF that I said was good for 2 to 3x. It's already up 40%, I believe. And that was just like 2 months ago. It's not all about teeny tiny plays, it's a mixture. And so if you're a family office or a hedge fund manager and you're like, look, Eric, I can't do these little ones, they're just too illiquid, let me know. I'll make a note and I'll talk to you about some of the ones that I don't mention because I do mention the big ones as well. The bigger ones, I'm talking at least mid cap, 500 million market cap plus. Um, but some are in the billions and you can take positions there, but I will keep a special eye out for you on the ones. I'll dig through my portfolio and say, here's what I have. These are still the buys. You may want to take a close look at those situations, and then when they come up, uh you know that are large deals, and private placements will come up in large deals, and you're going to see book runners like Stiefel and Goldman and Canaccord, cross country stuff raising $2 billion, and the deal's going to be on fire, and you're going to say, how the hell did you get us a slice of that deal? That will happen. I have great relationships on the street, and I'm excited to share those with you guys. Okay, have a great afternoon. Cheers.